It's the countdown.
Sorry.
You're like, I was like 3, and you were like, hey! That's great. Hey, welcome to another episode of Well That Sucked Podcast. Guess what? Today's episode is gonna fucking suck. So, for the last time, I have Chris Regan. He's not gonna come on anymore.
The last time?
The last
Wow.
time. Yeah.
What an honor.
Just kidding. I love you. I'm so glad that you can come on the podcast, man. I know you're super busy. I know they get a lot going on, especially, with, your work and you're doing a lot of stuff and you're super busy.
And traveling.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. So where are you going now?
Well, I just got back on Wednesday from New York City. And next weekend is Detroit. And then next weekend of December is the Bahamas. Man, this is crazy. Oh, there's my dog.
Uh-oh.
Brady, knock it off. Sorry. He does not understand.
Yeah, he's good. He's like, I want to be on the podcast too.
He's got a lot to say.
So what'd you all do in New York?
Oh man, it was
What
crazy.
didn't you
so
do in New York? You were sending me pictures through Facebook and Instagram and all that shit, dude. I'm so fucking jealous that you actually got to do all that.
Oh, dude, and the craziest thing is, so the first time we went to New York, we did all like the touristy stuff, like Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island, and all that. It's really cool stuff. But it's very time consuming, and you have to walk a lot. And when you're in New York, you walk a lot anyways. But this time we planned it out. We had enough time to like go do a couple of cool things, but then relax.
Yeah.
So it looks like in the photos that we did a ton of stuff, but it felt like we were just kind of like moseying along, and things would just happen. So it's kind of cool.
That is kind of cool. That's one place I've never been is New York City.
Dude, you got to go because everything you could ever imagine in terms of like the best food in the world is you just walk to it. It's right there. It's super easy to get to.
Yeah.
The subways are cool. You see some weird stuff there. You smell some disgusting smells.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but it's good.
Cool. Yeah. Now, what you're smelling is all that bum piss, right?
Yeah, dude. A lot of pee-pee.
Yeah.
And vomit.
Oh yeah.
But it mixes well with the smell of hot dogs and
Okay, so I was going to ask you, did you get a hot dog from those pop-up stands, like the hot dog stand?
Yeah. I did not get one there. They're called Dirty Water Dogs.
Well,
that's what they're called.
Name for them.
Yeah, because
so
you see the cart.
Are they Sabrettes or are they Nathans? They're Sabrettes, right?
Well, you have different kinds. So you'll see the Nathan's ones. That's the Coney Island original New York hot dog.
Yeah.
And then you'll see that Sabrett one occasionally. And then there's another one, Vienna beef. And now that's more Chicago. Okay. When you go to Chicago, you see a lot more of that. And in my opinion, I've had a New York hot dog and I've had a Chicago dog. And I don't know if you remember when we were in Chicago, what a Chicago dog is. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yep.
And they have like the sport peppers and the tomatoes and like that neon green nuclear relish.
Dude, I always thought that was really weird because
it is weird.
Hot dogs are super long and they're skinny.
Yeah.
They don't make a bun big enough for these fucking hot dogs. It's like they have the same thing as Sonic. Like if you ever go to fucking Sonic, they have these like foot long fucking hot dogs, and
yeah.
And they have to put them
in
in
no
these,
bun
tubes.
for them.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm glad you all had a good
time. The hot dog company needs to get with the bun company and be like, hey, this is how long we're making these things. I don't know if you want to adjust your recipe.
Yeah. Or the bun company, like, hey, we don't make this shit that long.
Yeah. You
know what I'm saying? Like, can you lay off the fucking meat?
Oh my God, seriously.
This isn't fucking Arby's, we have the meat,
Anyway. Yeah.
Okay, so today I want to talk to you about your injury, and we're going to compare injuries.
Oh man, dude, there's no comparison to your injury, dude.
Well, there is.
A little bit, I guess.
There is. And just because you were on vacation, I was just riding a fucking bike. You know, like
Well, yeah. No,
that's
that
shitty.
does make it worse.
Yeah.
You were at least in your like near your home. All your stuff was there. You know, that does help. I'm sure it had to have.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I want you to start off telling your story and what happened with you.
Okay, so it was. I went up to Michigan, where my wife's family lives,
Yeah.
and for Christmas, as you do, we went to go see the family for the holidays. And this year we'd been a couple years, and this year was a little different because we were like, okay, this Florida boy loves snow, doesn't really get a chance to see it ever. We're gonna take him out skiing. So, and you think skiing in Michigan? I don't know. I guess.
Yeah.
Michigan doesn't really have like mountains or anything, so what they do have is a place that it acts as a ski resort, but it was formerly a landfill, and so they call it affectionately like back in the 50s it was a landfill, and then when they filled it up, I guess they're like, well, we have this giant mound of trash. Why don't we put some grass on top of it? And when it snows, we can ski down it.
You can do a bunny hop over a fucking rusted ass car.
Yeah.
Tinnitus.
Yeah.
Not tinnitus. What is it?
The moguls are actually rusted out Saturns.
Old geoprisms.
Yeah, that's a perfect mogul shape of a car. So they call it Mount Trashmore, like the locals. So anyways, I'm like, oh, I'd love to go, but I don't want to ski because I grew up skateboarding. I'm like, I'm radical. I'm gonna do a snowboard.
Yeah.
And my wife is like, well, I have a snowboard. I've only used it once because I hate it, and so if you want to use it, you can use it. And I'm like, fine, I'll use it. So I don't know, when it's with skateboarding, it doesn't matter. You can use any board. They come in a couple different sizes, but generally speaking, you get the hang of it and you can do it.
Yeah.
With snowboards, it's a little different. It's like surfboarding. You're locked in, and you have to have a board that's the right length for your height. And my wife's shorter than me, so I don't think, first of all, the board was long enough. Second, I was borrowing her boots, which her feet are way smaller than mine. So my feet were like yeah, I had to crumple them up.
You got fucking arthritis feet.
My feet look like in Wizard of Oz when that house lands on the witch and her feet curl up underneath the house. That's what my feet look like inside the boot. So I was terribly uncomfortable, and I'm sure that didn't help my balance because you need your feet to balance.
Yeah.
So, anyways, the other part that really contributed to this was when we got there, it was 40 degrees, and the snow was kind of like just ice. Yeah. So, I'm terribly beginner status snowboarder. So,
right.
Did the bunny slope twice. 3 times. I did it 3 times. And that one, you go up, they have like a tow rope, or actually they have like this conveyor belt that you hop on, and then it just like shoots you up to the top of the bunny hill.
Wait,
and then you just like
out of a cannon?
no, you sit on this conveyor belt, and it just like pulls you up, and you're like a roller coaster to the top of the bunny hill, and then you hop off the thing.
How does it go?
And then you hop onto your board, you strap in your other boot, and then you go down the bunny hill. So I went down 3 times, and I'm like, well, I think I got the hang of this, obviously. And so I'm like, well, let's go to the next hill, because I'm like, I'm done with the bunny hill, I've done it enough. Let's go to the next one. Yeah. And my wife's like, let's go to this one, because there was a hill with a lift right next to the bunny hill. So me, thinking logically, I'm like, well, that's obviously the next one. I'm thinking it's like like a golf course. Like, here's hole 1, and right next to it's hole 2. Here's slope number 2. Well, I didn't know, but the thing we went up on was way more advanced than what I should have been on. There's a whole other like intermediate level trail on the other side of this landfill that I should have been on probably the entire day.
Well, you shouldn't have been there in the first place. Like,
well, that's also true. That's very true. I shouldn't have been there. Yes, you're right. But anyway, so we went up the lift.
Coming out of there, like, you know, you got Dodge metal pipes. You got Dodge
hypodermic needles
and all the cars and shit.
Yeah. So we go up the ramp, and this is my first attempt going down this intermediate hill.
Yeah.
And so I go down, and I'm trying to, you know, slalom, how you like kind of go left to right, and it helps you control your speed, and it makes the thing a little longer. Well, I'm not really doing anything. I'm turning, but I'm still just going straight down. But like now facing forward, because you know, in a snowboard you're supposed to be facing. You're supposed to be parallel.
So I snowboarded one time, and that was like the only time I did it because, you know, I was fucking petrified. So like, is it like, so when you go down, like just like when you're bombing it, is it kind of like going down a longboard? Like
it is. You go like, you go really fast, especially when you're on ice. It felt like I was going, really fast. I don't know exactly. I don't know what, like a mile per hour, but it was definitely, I was bombing the hell out of that hill.
Okay.
And so I tried to turn so that my front would face the bottom of the hill. So that way I'd be, you know, perpendicular to the direction
what
of
do you mean by your front?
So I was trying to, I ride with my left foot facing forward, so down the hill. I was trying to move my left foot.
What do they call that skater-wise?
That would be called regular stance. Regular stance is when your left foot's forward, goofy's when your right foot's forward.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah. So I was riding regular, and I'm trying to turn so that my front side is facing the bottom of the mountain so that I could slow down, because that's how you brake. You lean back. Well, unfortunately, the front side of my board got caught in the snow, and it just.
Did you say clit or clip?
Clip. It got clipped, and it catapulted me down onto the ice with the force of 1,000 knees landing directly on my left arm, and I hit, and I saw stars, and I was like, oh my God, and I rolled over onto my back. And I was like, I'm never hit anything.
Didn't get knocked out, bro.
I'm surprised I didn't either. And they asked me, you know, like later on, like, did you get a concussion? And I don't think I did, but I could have very easily, because it was a hard impact.
Yeah.
And I just remember laying on my back and being like, dude, I think I probably broke something. I have no idea. I feel okay. And so I'm like, all right, I'm laying on my back. I'm like, okay, I feel my left arm out to the side of me, but I can't really move it. It's weird. So I'm like, let me use my right arm to pull my left arm up, because I felt it was next to me. So I reached over, and there's no arm there. Like, oh no.
My God.
My arm was under my back. And and all that was, what was sticking out was like the top of my arm. But it didn't break through skin or anything, but it was like the bone part was like on its way out, but then the rest of my arm was severely misplaced. So I start waving like, help,
with arm.
With a good arm.
Okay.
With my little nub.
It like this?
So some ski instructor ran over to me. She abandoned her class and ran over to me. She's like, are you okay? I'm like, I broke my arm. And she's like, okay, let me radio in. So she gets on the radio. She's like, I'm on hill number whatever. I have a potential broken arm. I'm like, it's totally broken. She's like, I have to say it's a potential broken arm. I don't know why. And
it's behind my back, you motherfucker.
Yeah, does this look all right to you?
Yeah. You're hanging there like, does this look right? I'm doing this bravado over here.
High five! I can't do it. So my wife comes down the hill, and she's like, oh my God, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm really messed up. So she goes down the hill and runs into the lodge.
Hold on. Back up. So
yeah,
what was the pain? Like, what were you feeling like?
Great question. So at that point, I had not felt much pain other than, okay, here's what I felt. I felt a warmness in my arm, like a heat, like a pulsing heat emanating from where the brake was. Yeah. And then I also felt in my gloves on my hand a wetness. And I was like, oh, that's not good. That means that there's blood. Well, it turned out not being the case, but I just distinctly remember feeling that and being like, my hands are wet. That could have been sweat. That could have been melted ice that got in my glove or who knows what, but it wasn't blood. But I do remember that warmth and no pain just yet. A dull pain, but nothing excruciating yet.
So that's so weird. I wonder. So that's probably adrenaline kicking
Yes,
in.
exactly.
I know
it's exactly what it was.
that is. I know that. So you're not gonna feel pain until probably like an hour afterwards.
Yes. Well, or unless someone's messing with it, which ended up being the case.
Oh God.
So they got the ski patrol guys to come up and assess me, and then they're like, "Okay, well, you can't ski down on your own, so we have to get a toboggan and bring you down." So they had to like strap me to this like long sled
with a horse and buggy or something.
Yeah, it was really when there was a guy skiing in front of me. And I'm just laying on this toboggan all strapped in. But when they moved me on the toboggan, before they could do that, they had to stabilize my arm. And so they did that with bubble wrap and cardboard, just like on the mountain there. And when they moved me, that's when I started to feel it. And it was like a sharp stabbing pain. And that was just the beginning of it. I still had the adrenaline, so it wasn't so bad. And I knew in my mind I had to get down to the hill to figure out what's going on. So they put me in essentially their break room. There's some guy making hot pockets while I'm like screaming, and
So I'm curious of how you felt like as soon as you started feeling pain, because I felt when I got my injury, I felt pain immediately when it happened, and then afterwards it was like not that bad. But I mean, it still sucked. It still shitty. But so like when you were in that break room, were you like holding your arm, or like what were you doing?
I was not holding my arm just yet. I remember thinking to myself, and I guess this is good. This is like part of the coping. Mm-hmm. I knew it was serious, and I knew thinking, well, in a year from now, I'm going to be fine. So let me just get through this. So I was able to like kind of steel myself and sort of like focus on the task at hand, which is getting down the hill and into an ambulance at some point. Right. So when they put me in the break room, they had like a hospital gurney. They were able to transfer me onto that, and then they started to take off my clothes to evaluate because they needed to see if it was if it had pierced the skin yet. Yeah, they're like, we need to look at your. We need to see a naked boy, naked baby boy.
Yeah, we need to see your.
Like we have to verify your gender. No,
it'd be funny. We're like, if they like pulled off your pants and you're like wearing like these like American like flag like Speedo like thong.
Yeah, like oh sorry guys.
Yes, my bad.
So they get ready to take off my jacket. They're like, "Do you want us to cut this jacket?" And it was like a $200 North Face jacket. I'm like, "Oh no! Don't cut that off." So like, okay. So they tried to gently pull it away, and when they had to get it over the arm. It was so excruciating. I'm screaming, and then they're like, "Okay, do you want us to remove the shirt the same way?" I'm like, "No, cut the shirt. I don't care about the shirt."
Fuck that.
So
they cut that shit.
they cut the shirt off.
Yeah.
And that's when things started to get real because they turned to my wife and they said, "Are you his wife?" And she said,
no.
"Yes." And
don't know him.
She says, "I am for now, but I have the receipt."
Yeah.
It's because we had just gotten married. So she's like, "Yes, I'm his wife." And the guy goes,
"Newlyweds."
Yeah, this is our first.
What, like how many months beforehand?
2 months.
Oh,
2 months before.
Shit.
So he's like, if you're the wife, I'm just going to tell you right now, you don't want to look at this right now. And as soon as he said that, that's when it really started to set in. And then I went into shock, so I started to shake. So they took all these blankets and they had a dryer in their break room. So they were putting in the dryer to heat them up and like cover me in blankets to stop me from shivering and shaking.
Yeah.
And that was luckily about the same time that the ambulance got there. Yeah. And they immediately gave me morphine.
Good.
And that took care of the shockiness.
Seriously? The ambulance gave you fucking morphine?
They gave me morphine there twice in the break room, once more in the ambulance.
Dude, the same shit that killed Michael Jackson. Preferol, whatever the fuck it was called.
Oh, it from the EMTs?
Yes. No.
Whoa,
When I
whoa.
first got to my army hospital, because I'm in the army.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But they
Yeah,
did,
I got I got Dilaudid when I got to the hospital eventually, which is
you
what they give like stage 4 cancer patients.
you got gelato?
Yeah, it was delicious. It was pistachio flavored. No, it's called
man.
Dilaudid.
Dude, that's crazy. So how did the recovery process go for you?
That was where that was a tough thing, man, because so I had to go when I finally got back to Florida. I had to go see an orthopedic surgeon. So what they did in Michigan was they put like a temporary partial cast over my arm, and they said you have to let it just hang there. So I couldn't lay down, and I couldn't really move because my bones needed to fuse together by just hanging and touching each other.
Yep.
And it wasn't really working.
Down on the bones, it will
Yeah.
actually like the bones will fuse back together and form as one.
Well, so the problem though was that the break was a radial break. It wasn't like a jagged break, so that my bone wasn't touching. It was just kind of like moving around, and I could feel it like moving around. It was gross.
Oh my
so when I
God.
got back to Florida, the orthopedic surgeon said, "No, dude, we have to put something in here that's going to stabilize this." So I ended up getting a titanium rod put in, and the most severe pain that I experienced was after that. Was after surgery.
Yeah.
They'd given me nerve blockers. So that I wouldn't experience pain during the operation or shortly after. But eventually you feel the pain, and it was nerve blockers.
Oh, okay. So what's that?
I don't know if they gave you that, but they gave me that. And basically it just shuts down your nerves from feeling anything. And when you wake up, you touch your hand with your other hand, and it feels like you're touching a stranger's hand, and you can't feel it with the other hand. So they say when they give you that, like, don't cook, because if you happen to touch the stove, you're not going to feel it, and you'll literally burn your hand off. So I wasn't allowed to like do anything when I was on the nerve blockers. It was the weirdest feeling. But when they finally wore off, the pain came, and it was just constant and incredibly intense. And that was the worst. That was the worst part of the entire thing for me.
Oh, I bet. So
physical therapy was tough, but that was the worst.
Yeah. Wow. So that's pretty fucking crazy, man. I remember like you telling me that story, before I got in my accident, and it's so funny that we actually got in the same accident, a year later.
Yeah. Well, let's see. That was about a year later.
Yeah. I remember you telling me that, and I was like cringing, because like I can imagine your arm being underneath your back, like dislocated, like your whole fucking arm, Yeah.
Well, now you maybe can.
Yeah.
After what you went through, you could probably imagine worse.
But like your scars, they're looking better. From the last time I saw
Yeah,
them.
they're still. Yeah, I've used some. You can use like vitamin E oil or Mederma for scars, and it works a little bit. But you've been using it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it helps. But really, for surgical scars, you gotta give it time, and eventually they'll turn, a little less noticeable.
Right.
Mine are still pretty noticeable, but stick scars. So.
Bro, so my left leg, Jesus Christ. All right, so that was a crazy fucking story, bro. I'm really glad that you could come on and share that, and give our audience a good like picture perfect view or image of what you went through. That's
Well, I'll tell you, it's amazing how the body immediately reacts to trauma, and then how you subsequently have to cope with it. I mean, I just think back to when I couldn't do anything, I couldn't work, I couldn't drive or anything like that. So I would read a lot. Yeah, you can't do anything. So I got into reading. I started reading like classics and stuff, and I started to feel like maybe that was a good thing for me, because like I got to learn a lot.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I didn't want to spend my time just like only watching TV and just vegging out. So I was like, I gotta keep myself sharp somehow.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's great. Be productive.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll go on my story right now.
Oh dear.
So we'll switch over to me. Um, so one Saturday morning, I thought it was a good idea to go for a bike ride, and it was May 5th of this year, 2018. So
Of this year. Yep.
yeah, this year, and so I take my wife's bike, which is funny because it is my wife's bike. I actually bought it for her birthday, and and I was riding it more than she was because she had a crazy schedule.
Yeah. And you
And
had the spandex.
yeah, I had the spandex and I had the the road bike and the road vest, and the gloves and everything. I was very serious. No, um, so so this day started out pretty good. I was thinking like, yeah, I'm gonna get some cardio in. I'm gonna go and burn some calories and go down because we have the bike trail that's outside of our neighborhood, and it's wide enough to where like people can walk on it, walk their dogs on it, and they can people can ride their bikes on it and stuff. So it's big enough.
Yeah.
So I ride my bike. I'm going up past my house, and I go up to this oil change station, and I'm asking questions to see like how much oil change is and what it would cost and all that shit. So after I asked him that, I hook a left, and I get on the sidewalk on the main highway, and
Because the bike path stops, right?
yeah, it stopped. It stopped by it's kind of short actually. I think it's only like a mile long. So I had to so I made that left, and I was going on this little short ass fucking sidewalk, and I noticed there was a car to my left when I was gonna go across this gas station.
Yeah. The driveway. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an in and out driveway.
Yeah.
Um, and I noticed that he stopped and he was only looking left. So I just assumed that he saw me already. And so I started going. And this is like my worst nightmare. This is seriously my worst nightmare.
I can imagine.
Yeah, because like I always liked biking, and I've always biked. I hate running. I hate doing treadmills.
Yeah, me too.
Elliptical is like the second best thing from
Yeah.
riding a bike.
Yep.
And so, you go fast on a bike. We're
Sure.
somewhere quick, and my patience, is none. So okay. So I'm going across this in and out the Segway, the little driveway, and I'm looking at the car to my left. So so he stopped, and I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going, and I'm looking down, and he lets his foot off to the brake. And everything happens in slow motion.
I bet.
You know how like if you you let the foot off the brake and it just kind of coasts,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. And so he he pinned my leg up against my front tire, and I turn left and I put my hands on the hood and I look at him like, "Hey, motherfucker, you gonna fucking stop?"
Oh God, no.
And the hood was
Yeah.
hot because it was like black, and I remember like it was like burning my hands. It was hot as shit. So I put my hands down there and I'm like, "Hey, you gonna fucking stop?" Nope.
Oh jeez.
Definitely didn't stop. So he knocked
Maybe.
me. Yeah. No.
Eventually.
I'm late for a meeting. So he pushes me onto my stomach, and I remember just hitting the ground, and my hands hitting the concrete, and the actual bike was. So the bike got pushed away from me, which was good, thank God. And I ran into my stomach, and the tire just goes straight over my fucking leg, my left leg. Yeah. Yep, it goes straight over my left leg. And I felt the worst pain in my entire life. I've never felt this way ever in my entire life.
Yeah.
Yeah. The pain was fucking terrible. Like, I felt really bad because there was little kids riding their bikes around the gas station and shit. Which I don't know why they're parents would let them like ride around, in like a really busy like traffic area.
Well,
Like
I guarantee you, if they saw what happened to you, they will never do it
yeah,
again.
exactly, dude. I felt bad because like as soon as you entered my leg, and I was like, "Fuck, fuck!"
Oh,
I
well,
was
yeah,
like,
you can't. Hey,
"Motherfucker!" Yeah.
you can't blame yourself for that.
Yeah,
Anybody would have done that.
and the kids were like, "Oh my god, mom!"
Dude, I don't care who you are. You can be Sister Margaret Mary of like a Catholic church. And you're gonna be screaming the F word.
Yeah, yeah. So the cop. Oh God, I'll cut that out. So the,
Oh,
the car.
oh, great.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. Well, it's all right. So the car stopped, and he comes out, and he's like, he calls for an ambulance, and he's like, oh my God, he's like, he's like, what leg did I run over? I was like, my fucking left leg. And so he's like, okay, so he calls an ambulance. I'm still screaming, and
Ugh.
yeah, and you can tell because like I lifted up my leg, because I'm holding my leg at the same time, and my foot is like cockeyed.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh God!
Like you can see a little bit of bone like coming out.
Yeah, I know you could because you
Yeah.
can you still?
No. It's all almost healed, but not much.
Oh good God!
Yeah. So my foot is looking left, like you're looking at a chick that's wall-eyed. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no! Dear God!
And so I'm holding it. He turns his no. So my phone went off. Sorry, hold on.
Oh,
Oh,
I think
yeah,
you say,
no.
oh no! I'm sorry, I didn't
Oh.
break my leg. This
Yeah,
was
yeah. No,
this was someone else.
So the ambulance comes, and the cops arrive, and this is what kind of irritated me the most, is that like, I understand this is what they have to do, but
Yeah.
when I was laying there screaming my
Oh.
fucking ass off, he was like,
Yeah.
hey, you okay? You okay? And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'm just fucking dandy, bro.
Yeah, I'm just
good.
getting ready to walk home.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a fucking. I'm gonna sprint home. I'm good.
Yeah. Never felt better.
And he was so pissed off at me when I said that. He rolled his eyes. He was like, "You motherfucker."
Well, but seriously though, I mean, can the guy blame you?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah. Do I feel okay? Well, let me think.
So the ambulance comes, and this is the worst part. Like when you were talking about how they put your hand in, your arm in a cast, like in that.
Yeah, to stabilize it.
Yeah, the stabilizer.
Yeah.
So they were trying to do that while I'm trying to hold my leg, and the paramedic was like, "Hey, this is really gonna fucking hurt."
Yeah.
So,
no two ways about it.
yeah, exactly. So like, I'm sorry, but we have to do this. And
Ugh.
like, they pulled my leg out, and I was like, "Oh fuck!"
Oh.
And oh man. Oh, sorry. I digress. Let me go back to where the civilians came over. So I had a bunch of civilians come over, and there was this one sweet black lady. She came over.
Yeah.
And she just bought these pillows, and she just bought a comforter. So she put the pillow underneath my head, and she put the comforter underneath my leg.
Oh dear God, that is
nice.
a saint.
Yeah,
that is a guardian angel, man.
Yeah, and she was like, she bought a bottle of water from the gas station, and she was like pouring it over my head and like kind of wiping my head. I was like, oh, she's such a fucking sweetheart.
Yeah.
And it's like I felt bad because like when it started cursing, she was like, oh Lord. She's like, oh no, oh Lord.
Oh.
Yeah. So
I got sweet lady.
So going into the ambulance.
Yeah.
They put me in the ambulance.
Mm-hmm.
And they took me to the Army hospital.
Yeah.
Which I won't go into because
it is what it is, right?
A bunch of fuck. So, but I'll go into when I got transported from my Army hospital onto Savannah.
Yeah.
So, oh my God! So it took them about an hour to get down here, and so I get put in the in the ambulance. and I think the driver was new, because I think she was a newbie or like a probie or whatever they call them.
Yeah.
Because she was like,
Because she kept pounding on the brakes like a 16-year-old.
dude, she asked the main paramedic guy. She was like,
Yeah.
hey, did we go fast? Or do I put my lights on?
I don't know. Is this an emergency?
Yeah. And he goes, yeah? like, what the fuck, dude? I said, okay.
Oh, my God.
And so, dude.
Do we go fast?
Yeah. So we're going through the parking lot of the hospital, right?
Yeah.
And she hits a fucking speed bump going like 35 miles an hour, and my leg bumps off the table. And I'm like, oh shit! And so the paramedic that was with me, like in the back, he starts yelling like, "Watch the fucking road!" he literally yelled that shit, dude. I was laughing. Well, I mean, I wasn't really laughing, but deep down inside, I was really laughing. Yeah. And
you're like, I gotta remember this. So I can laugh later.
And she was driving, and she goes, "Roger."
Oh no,
man.
Dude, that's like Ben Stiller movie material.
Yeah, meet the fuckers.
Yeah.
So we get there, and I'm so glad that I went to the Savannah Hospital. Like, everybody there was so sweet and so kind. They love their job, and I could tell because they did their job to the fullest. They were constantly checking on me. They were doing their job.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So anyways, so I go in for surgery. And my wife's wedding.
The same day, right? Same day?
Yeah, because it had to be same day, because if I didn't get it, I would have lost my leg.
Oh, jeez.
Because the swelling was so bad, they had to do surgery same day. Yeah.
God, that's terrible.
Yeah. All right, so I think the surgery only lasted like two hours, I think.
Oh, wow. That's not bad for what you had going on.
Yeah, exactly. So they wake me up, they pull me into the room, and my wife is sitting on the couch in the actual room. And so what she was telling me, dude, she was telling me that I would like start a conversation with her and then fall back asleep.
Yeah. Oh, I called you that day to talk to you,
dude. And you told me that I was like talking to the wizard.
Dude, you were not there. I was talking to you. I'm like trying to joke around because I was at Universal Studios and I was at this place for milkshakes, and they have stairs leading up to it. And I told them that I'd bring you, but we'd have to leave you outside. And you're like, okay. I'm like, okay. Sorry you weren't able to be here this evening, Ian. Maybe I'll call back later. But I mean, the craziest thing was I talked to you earlier that day. I don't know if you remember calling me because you and your wife were planning on coming down for Disney.
That's right.
And so we were kind of just talking about that and shooting the crap, no big deal. And then all of a sudden, Amy gets a text from your wife, and she's like, Ian was run over. I'm like, what? I just talked to him.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. It was just so weird. Like, that day was just such a weird day.
It was weird because, like, when I was talking to some of my buddies from work, they were like, we drove by there, and we were wondering, like, why the ambulances were there and all the cops were, like, blocking out the highway.
Oh, man.
And I was like, this is a small fucking town.
Yeah.
Like, for real. And it was weird, though. Like, it's like, I remember, like, you called me after surgery. And you were saying something. And I just remember, like, I think I dropped the phone or something, like, in between like, my armpit and my arm.
Yeah.
And my wife had to pick it up and, like, put it back. And she had to slap my cheeks. She had to, like, slap me to wake back up.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that was crazy, man. But so the conclusion of the story is that I had a fasciotomy, which basically means that my leg was swelling so bad that they had to cut me open about over a foot wide to reduce the swelling.
Oh, whoa, yeah.
Yep.
That's right. That's that big scar running down your leg, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Ugh. So how's that healing?
It's getting there. You can still see the scar.
Oh, sure. Very purple, right?
Oh, it's very purple. It's weird. It's like a Teletubby. Kind of weird. So it goes all the way down from like the bottom of my knee to the top of my ankle. All right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I
Ugh.
have some road rash around like the bottom towards my ankle, and I got 3 screws holding in the rod. Not the rod. Yeah, the rod. Yeah. So there's a rod. There's a rod going in down through my knee. They had actually cut through my kneecap.
Yeah.
All the way down into my ankle, and those 3 screws are holding in my the rod. And on the left side, I have 2 plates.
God.
And it's another scar, like another long fucking scar.
Oh man.
Yeah. So that was fun.
And recovery has been.
So recovery. I've been in physical therapy for 6 months.
Yeah.
And basically like learning how to to walk again.
Learning to love again.
What's that one song? I'll never dance again. Who sings that?
I don't
George
know.
Michael?
Oh yeah, that's right, George Michael.
Yeah.
Never gonna dance again.
I'm gonna sing. I was singing that like the whole time at my surgery.
That's hilarious. Oh, I got a question, but yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No.
Oh, okay. Do you remember in the surgery were you cognizant when they were putting you under, or were you like just loaded on medicine you didn't know?
No, I was cognizant.
Oh, you were? Okay, so do you remember the anesthesiologist? They put you under, right? For God's sake, please tell me they put you. Okay.
No, they didn't. No.
They didn't?
No.
Oh, sometimes they don't. 'Cause, like, I know for like when you have like a C-section, well, we wouldn't because we're guys, but when women have a C-section, they just put like a tent up so that they can't see it, and they just get to cutting, and the women's awake. It's like, it's nuts.
Oh yeah. No, they definitely put me under because
cool.
If you think about it, a C-section is like they're cutting the belly open and they're gonna pull a baby out, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna stuff a whole bunch of metal inside.
Oh yeah. They wouldn't. Yeah, that's right. They wouldn't give you away with that.
Yeah, they're gonna screw everything in as well.
I remember being in the operating room and the anesthesiologist is like, okay, I'm about to administer the anesthesia.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, I've heard about this and I know the drill. And I'm like, okay, so you want me to count back from 100, right? And he's like, I don't care. I'm like, well, isn't that what you're supposed to do? He's like, you can if you want. I'm like, well, I do want to. Thank you very much. So I'm like, right. 99, and I was out. It was like instant.
Yeah. The anesthesia.
And the rest of the show was Spence trying to say anesthesiologist.
Anastasia came in.
Anastasia came in and Rasputin was like, hey, we got to cut this leg off, man.
Yes. So, she was talking to me. She basically just gave me the procedure of what was gonna go or what was gonna happen. She's like, hey, I'm gonna give you this anesthesia, and you're gonna be out within like a minute. I think she was asking me some other questions that I can't remember what it was, but I just remember like going to sleep and then waking like right back up within like I felt like, in my brain it felt like seconds. Yeah,
exactly. Me too. I remember waking up and being like, oh crap, I woke up too early. Are they still operating on me? And I'm like, oh, they've been done for an hour.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. So that was pretty crazy.
Anesthesia, man, that's really a rather modern thing that we've had, like you think back in Civil War, it used to be bite the bullet. Like they give you a leather strap to bite down on while they just hacked away at you.
Yeah.
And, geez, man. Ugh.
Nope.
But I remember the morphine, when they gave me the morphine, my nose was weird. I smelled like this smell. And that's pretty common, I guess.
Smell what?
It smelled like, almost like a rubber mask or something. I don't know how to describe it. It smelled like I don't know. I smelled something. And they said that was typical. And then they said your nose would get itchy. And it did. Yeah. And they also said you probably would puke once you came out of it, and I did.
That's weird because I didn't.
You didn't?
No.
They said it's fairly common. It's not guaranteed, but it does happen a bit. Yeah. And it happened to me. Yeah, I puked. Sorry. I was at my in-laws' house. God bless them. They took such great care of me. They even came down from Michigan and stayed at my house during a long time while I was just laying around, and they actually helped me and my wife move out of our apartment or into our apartment, and it was crazy, man.
So how long were you out of work?
I was out of work for at least 2 months. At least 2 months.
Yeah.
Because it happened in December, and I didn't go back until late February.
Bro, so, I was out of work for a month.
Yeah, that easy, easily, because you can't do anything. You're good for nothing. First of all, I was on pain pills, having the time of my life. No, I'm kidding. I actually hated the pain pills. But when you're on pain pills, you can't drive.
No,
and
no.
When I only had one arm, you only had one leg. What do you really expect us to do?
Dude,
all you can do is heal.
Exactly, dude. My doctor told me that I could pull my wheelchair out of the back of my truck and open it with one leg and one arm.
Your doctor is insane.
I'm pretty sure he was just like a Muppet or something.
He's a Swedish chef. I picked up your wheelchair when we went to Savannah, and that thing was heavy, man. There's no way.
Fuck, dude. I mean,
yeah.
Dude, I was literally having anxiety when we went to that one restaurant, that Air Bomber restaurant.
Yeah.
We went to in Savannah.
Yeah.
It was like you and my wife were on either side of me, trying to get up the steps, and I was like, I'm gonna fall. Like this is my death.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I know. It was scary, and it makes you appreciate, like the ADA.
Yeah, exactly.
I just can't imagine what that must be like.
Like, imagine if you were super fucking crippled and you had to buy like a $60,000 van that accommodated to everything that you had to do.
Right.
That's crazy.
It's bizarre. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You don't think about this stuff until it happens to you, and then you really do appreciate it. What are you, electing a new pope?
What? Oh, yeah. Fucking fog machine, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Is that the pot roast flavored one?
Pot roast?
Yeah. Don't they come in different flavors? Is that the
is that
black
the
truffle
flavored, bro?
Yeah.
Is that the chicken broth flavored?
Is that the caviar and foie gras?
Well, on that note, hey, it was good talking to you, bro. It was seriously, bro. Thank you so much for coming on my podcast and you know, spending your time on there. I know that you're super busy and stuff like that. You're a great guy, and I love you. I've known you for years, and you bought me a number 3 from Wendy's when we first met.
That's right.
Which was a triple cheeseburger.
It was the last dime I had to my name, and you got it.
Yeah. See, I knew you were the one after you did that.
Well, I'll tell you what. You are right. I am a great guy. I've been trying to tell you that for years now.
But you never listen.
Yeah.
You never bought me new shoes. All right, man. It was good talking to you, bro. I love you. Okay?
Good to talk to you too, man.